Hey, let me first recap quickly the game this past Saturday against South Alabama. Very proud of our football team. I thought we put together 4 quality quarters of football, offensively, defensively, and in special teams. If you go back and look at defensively, a lot of guys did their job, did their role, played within the scheme of things, and then we eliminated, or didn't eliminate, but we really minimized the big plays, tackled much better, and when you watch the film, you see 11 guys really run into the football with a lot of relentless effort. So I was really proud of that effort defensively. Also, getting a big turnover, a critical part of the game, was big. And so I just thought good plan, great job by our players carrying out the plan, and then with exceptional effort. Offensively, I thought another solid performance. I thought South Alabama, we knew coming in was going to be a physical football team. We knew up front that they were going to be a little more of a different animal than we'd seen the last couple of weeks. Very good up front. They proved to be that. But I thought we kept pecking away and found some answers there in the fourth quarter. Moved the football most of the game, got in the red zone, bogged down at some times. Typically we've been able to come away with some touchdowns. We was forced to kick some field goals. We got to find some answers there. When you go back and see the things we did on film, a couple things here or there kept us from getting the ball in the end zone, the chance to maybe really swing the game to our favor. Special teams wise, I thought had a big night, with the exception of the roughing the punter that really gave them a first down to let them keep the drive going. We had 4 for 4 on field goals. Coverage teams did a lot of good things. I thought a really solid night there. If you go back and look at top performers, Elijah McGuire continued to have an exceptional game. The guy's on fire right now. He's playing at a very high level, and he's staying healthy. That's been a big plus, and we've got to continue getting him ready each week. I thought Terrence Broadway, once again, did a great job managing the game. Came up with some big plays, especially to James Butler when we needed him. But he got our guys into the right checks all night long. Did a great job taking care of the football. I thought he played really well. Our offensive line played really well. James Butler stepped up and had a big game. That's what we've been waiting from James Butler. Defensively, Jake Mulberry had a big game. I thought he really played soundly, played hard, and had a lot of tackles. And you look at our D-line with Ringo and Hamilton, both played really well. So excited about those guys. Then you also look at Lightfoot. Thought he did some nice things. Boris Andiyama, just a lot of guys. We talked about as a staff, we think we've played more guys the other night in one game than we've probably played in the last 4 years. A lot of guys contributed Saturday night more than we've probably ever played. Contributed in a big way, and that was great to see. I think our guys are really starting to hit on all cylinders right now. We're gaining momentum. And we talked about in the press conference, or we talked about in our team meeting last night, we're not going to pull over and check the oil. We got the hammer down. I think we're really doing a good job of getting better each day, each game, each practice, and so hopefully we can continue playing hard. Big game this week, long road trip, New Mexico State, a team that if you look at their record, obviously you know what the record is, but if you look at the games they've played and the way they've been in the games, their record could easily be much different with one play here or there. They had New Mexico beaten their top rival, had a chance to beat New Mexico, who's having an outstanding season. So they've been in a lot of games, been in a lot of tough battles, hadn't got a lot of breaks. We're playing at their place. Doug Martin, I think, does an exceptional job. I think he's a very good coach, and they'll be ready for us. And so it's going to be a big challenge, especially going on the road that far. And so we've got to make sure we continue playing hard. They've got a 2-quarterback system. They utilize 2 quarterbacks. That'll be a challenge. Very multiple on defense, whether it's 3-4, whether it's 4-2-5. Lots of different pressures, lots of different looks. That could create a lot of problems for us as we prepare this week. So huge challenge moving forward. So with that, open up any questions.
What can you explain the timing behind Saunders not being with the program anymore for you in season, and also what are the benefits that Wallerstedt has now being able to be hands-on?
Well, first of all, there's never a good time, and announce your resignation. And that's what Sarge did yesterday. He's resigned for personal reasons, and that's as far as really we're allowed to say, because that's what they are. They're personal reasons. But never a good time, whether it's off season. Now you're right in the middle of recruiting. In season, you're right in the middle of the game, so it's never a great time. Now Matt Wallerstedt will step into his spot and fill his shoes, and will be he'll be the ninth accountable coach. So he'll be able to coach a position now, be in meetings, and be more involved with our defense. And so we're full speed ahead, continue moving forward.
You mentioned right after the game that you kind of got away with what you're planning on doing, I guess, in terms of in the red zone. What did you get away from, and what would you like to do more of?
Well, you go back and you look, and it seemed like each time down, on first down, we ran a play, whether it's to the sideline, east and west a little bit. Maybe it was a pass once or twice, and instead of doing what we do best, maybe it's hitting right up the middle with Alonzo or Elijah at that point, trying to move the chains forward, and may have gotten away from us a little bit there. When you go back and look, trying to get some positive yards, and not maybe so much running east and west, if that makes any sense. So we're pretty good when we're downhill in the red zone with our big offensive line and getting a push. But we didn't have Alonzo, and that's typically where he really comes into play.
Coach, Terrence mentioned on one of those plays where that he changed the audible out of what you had, and that was on a third down, I think third go. Did they give him a look and then maybe backed out of that look where he saw something inaudible? And how much of the playbook, obviously a lot, when you don't have Alonzo banging between the tackles, how much did Jay Johnson have to go back during the game and adjust?
Yeah, not a whole lot. We count on Elijah doing exactly what Alonzo does, but Elijah's also good at some things, and Alonzo's better at some things. But Elijah had to do it all, and he got worn down pretty good. And but as far as the checks, for the most part, they don't fool Terrence very often. He's pretty much dead on. And regardless with the check, it seems like we had a miscommunication. The quarterback went one way, the line and the running back went one way, and we got off track right there, and that got us off course at that point. But overall, he's been dead on with his checks.
Fade route to Elijah after a timeout? Has that play been effective in practice?
Yeah, it has. We're about 10 for 10. If you go back and you look, Terrence, and he'll tell you he didn't throw it outside enough. He's got to put the ball a little more outside, give him a chance. Elijah's just got a knack. He can go up, and here's a guy that's 5'11" that can, he can dunk a basketball any way you want him to. So just once again trying to get the ball to him a little bit. But right before that, Terrence also has a lot of trust, and we do too. And James Butler, and Terrence wanted the call to go to James. And I didn't do a very good job at all of relaying that to Jay upstairs. We'd already dialed up during the huddle, during the timeout, that we was going to throw the ball to Elijah. Terrence wanted to James. I didn't get it called to Jay to change it. And so that sort of caught Terrence off guard. But nevertheless, he's got faith in both of them. You've got to put the ball a little more outside to give a chance.
This week, when you see a rush defense getting up 304 yards, as a play caller, do you kind of lift the chops with how the run game is going right now?
Well, we want to run the football, and we want to establish the run. And last week, with only having one back, that made it a little more difficult. But you want to go into the game thinking you can run the ball against a team that's giving up 300 yards a game. But you know what? Each game we're watching right now, different plan. And you've got to prepare for a whole lot, and you just don't know what you may see, and so that makes it difficult. And so, we want to be able to run the ball, and hopefully we can establish a run this week.
How much healthier do you think Alonzo will be if he sees those stats?
We didn't get a lot of reps, so hopefully, by not playing much Saturday, he didn't get too more banged up than what he already was. We need to get him back. We're a way more effective team, and I think you know this, when both those guys are coming in and out, spelling each other, where they both are fresh. Both are very effective. We rode Elijah pretty hard the other night. We rode him pretty hard. And the guy kept coming back a little bit more, so he did a great job.
When you switch them out, Eli's the outside guy, Alonzo's the inside guy, How do you try to avoid being predictable?
Well, if you watch, Elijah, he probably runs almost as many plays inside as Alonso. We just move him around a little bit more. When he's back behind the quarterback, his plays are about the same. He scored on the run against Arkansas State up the middle and ran over the safety. So, he's a physical player too. He's very explosive for his size, and he can be effective in there also.
How much does it help that he can move around in so many spots?
Yeah, I think that allows you as a play caller or as a coordinator, when you've got a weapon like that, you can design plays for the guy. Like the wheel route out of the backfield was a late addition, I think, on that we installed just to get him the football. And I think Jay's done a great job of utilizing what Eli can do because he's a guy that you can create plays for, and he's very. Just utilize a lot of different ways.
You mentioned before the season his durability was an issue coming into the season, and how impressed are you that he seems to be getting just as strong?
Knock on wood. He's
Right.
been much better. Last year I don't think he finished many games. He's finished all these games for the most part this year. Way more durable. He's put on about 10, 15 pounds, and his conditioning, off-season work, and during this season they're continuing to work hard. We've been pushing them pretty good. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
Still only practicing 2 days a week?
Well, he's practicing every day.
Oh.
Yeah, he's out there every day. He may not be doing a whole lot, but he's out there. And he's going through his individual reps, or what we call our play timing with the quarterbacks. It's just so much your legs can take, especially when you have him in so many special plays, and you're running wheel routes 50 yards down the field in practice, and then if the quarterback overthrows, you sort of want to do it again, and just how much do you allow him to do? And so you've got to regulate a player like that who's going so many snaps on Saturday. He can't be effective if he's going that many snaps all week long every day in practice.
Coach, I just
your
have
college
an
experience, who could you compare Elijah to from what you've seen in college level? Other players maybe from other teams.
As far as players that I've coached, there's one guy that I coached in North Alabama that was very similar to him. His name was DeMarcus Blunt, running back when I was at North Alabama. That type of player where we can flex out, we can put in the backfield, moved him around, create plays, don't keep Kansas. And so two players that come to mind, but hadn't coached one like Elijah in a while. It's that multiple that can do so many different things.
Did you see that in him in high school, that he could be this multiple player?
Yeah, we thought he could be this multiple player. When you recruit a guy, you think he's going to be really good. We thought Elijah was going to be really good, and but I think he may have even exceeded our expectations so far. He's still just a sophomore. This kid's young. Did redshirt. He's a true sophomore, true second-year player, and his best football to me is still ahead of him. But I tell you the thing I was most impressed about, everybody's impressed about the running and the catching, but just to have the foresight of sliding, staying in bounds, a critical time to keep the clock moving, just to understand the game that well for a sophomore, especially when you're tired and you've been ran about 10 plays in a row, just to have the train of thought to get down to keep the clock moving.
Coach, how much having Nixon back maybe gives you a little bit more? I realize he's taking snaps at quarterback in practice, but he's been back there in the pistol with Broadway before, and maybe give you a little bit an option maybe as if Harris gets a little bit banged up going down through the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a little easier said than done. He's a guy that he could maybe possibly play running back. It's a little easier said than done. He hasn't done it very much. And we've got some other guys. We've got some confidence in Ephraim Reed. We've got a lot of confidence in him. He played a lot the other night, mostly on third down. But moving forward, we really don't have any plans of that at this moment. But he's a big, strong runner.
A lot of the credit's going to Elijah. Of course, big guys up front. As an offensive lineman, you'd think they'd be walking around smiling, right? Because they were getting their work done.
They have. And when you see so many of our backs being successful, to me, that's one thing you can say is got to start all up front. Those 5 guys up front are playing awfully well together, getting some good movement, for the most part protecting the quarterback well, and really gelling. I think they're doing a really nice job.
They're
Mark.
flying first class this week?
It depends on their champion team. The winning champion team flies first class, and so, matter of fact, I want to say it's Team Broadway, and so I think they're on first class, and I think there's two linemen on his champion team. It's a group of players that compete each week to see who's going to get to fly first class, eat first, and all that. So we ought to put them all up front. They're doing pretty good, aren't they?
Mark, I know you've been popping up at some of the area high school games, and you can't talk about players, but last week of the regular season, what's your overall view of the games that you've seen, players?
Got a chance to get out this past Friday. Me and Coach Johnson bounced around Acadiana, a little helicopter tour, and it was fun. Got to see a lot of great high school players. I'm gonna tell you, high school football this year in Acadiana is strong. A lot of good players. A lot of teams I think are going to do very well. But that makes our job easy. A lot of good teams, a lot of good players. The players here are well coached. It is obvious when you go see these teams play. A lot of excitement too. I had a great time watching the games and being into the atmosphere. It was a lot of fun.
You flying it?
You talked about the New Mexico State defensively, but when they run for or have 639 yards of offense and 32 first downs that last week, does that kind of catch your eye?
It certainly does, because they're dangerous. When I say that, they get a lot of multiple formations, empty. They two quarterback system, playing two different quarterbacks. They've got a back, to me, it's very effective. Last year they jumped out on us right away, so I promise you this, they have our team's respect. It was a dogfight last year. To climb back into that game was very fortunate. And so we're going to practice this week with an attitude that we've got to be much better, because last year's effort won't be good enough against these guys. Like I said, they do a lot on both sides of the football, create a lot of things you got to prepare for.
You got your helicopter's license?
I don't, but after Friday night, I'd like to work on it. Pretty neat.
What's your evaluation of Devin Scott from Saturday and just where he's grown from freshman year until now?
That was, to me, that was one of those plays that made, talking about Devin Scott, that may be one of those plays that gives a young kid the confidence to take that next step. And to make a catch that early in the game, I think it's going to be a big step in him moving forward to hopefully being one of our playmakers in the future. He's a kid that's continuing to get better, and he just needed a little shot in the arm of confidence, and I think he got it. The last few weeks, he's played really well and had some nice catches and some really good minutes.
Should it have been as difficult as it has been for him to earn Terrence's trust? In other words, should Terrence learn to be more trusting without somebody having to go out and do something incredible to prove it?
Well, no, to me, you got to improve it in practice. You prove to your quarterback, you prove to your team, but how you practice, how you prepare to practice. Do you stay after practice and catch extra jug balls if you didn't have a good day? Are you making plays at practice? And guys that don't make plays at practice typically don't make plays in the game. And so that gets back to a young receiver needing to practice with great practice habits, be effective in practice so the quarterback has confidence. Because that's why he likes going to James Butler. That's why he likes going to Jamal Robinson. Those two guys were the best two practice players I've seen, and it carried over to the games.
Is he the fastest guy on the team?
He is. Devin Scott?
Yeah.
I would say he's one of the fastest guys on the team. I think he was a 10.3, 10.4, 100-meter guy in high school, track guy, and he's pretty fast.
I know you've kind of held that bargaining chip, the offensive line playing Arkansas State, Texas State, had those highly ranked rush defenses. This week you play an offensive line that I think's only given up the second least sacks in the country, given how this team has gotten pressure this last month. Is that something you kind of bait them this week going forward?
Well, you gave me a good idea. So, but yeah, every week you always are trying to find something to challenge your guys with, and nevertheless, we'll find something to challenge them with. The game itself will be a challenge enough, but our D-line right now is they're playing about the best they've played. Christian Ringo is playing at a very high level along with Justin Hamilton, and then our ends are, I think, are being pretty effective too.
What were the lessons learned from that New Mexico State game last year?
Well, you better come ready to play, and we entered that game and was sleepwalking early, and before we knew, we looked up, and I think we were down 21 points maybe. And I think we've done a much better job of starting faster. And these last 4 games we've won, we've started much faster. I think we've taken the ball 3 out of 4 times, and we've tried to take the ball all 4. I think we're being a little more aggressive, and I think our coach is doing a good job making sure our players are ready to play. and right off the bat. We were not ready the first half last year, and they made us pay for that there in the first half.
What's been the difference between Ringo this season and seasons past?
Well, to me, he's always been a player that played very effectively, but now, we've been way more four down than we have been in any season, except maybe for the second year, the second half. So he's way more one-on-one now, being a little more four downish. Not saying we're still, doing a little bit of three down, but he's way more in situations where he's one-on-one instead of being double teamed. And he's pretty effective in one-on-one situations.
Defensive substitutions, was that part of the game plan going into the week, getting a lot of guys involved?
Wanted to get a lot more guys on the field, play some fresher guys. We can rotate in, and I tell you, if you watch the way our guys flew to the ball, we flew around to the football, and I think a lot of that may have to do with guys being a little rested. We didn't count on the same four guys chasing them around all night long. We have to rotate some guys in, and I think hopefully it paid off.
With it looked like Sean Thomas played the majority of the second half. Is that still kind of open between him and Crawford?
Yeah, you still would like Sean to sort of be the guy. He's a senior, been in a lot of battles, battle tested. Had 2 interceptions in the bowl game last year. But those other guys are pushing hard for playing time, and we got some good competition, and it makes everybody better. And but the great thing about it is we've got some quality depth that maybe in the past couple of years we haven't had. So those guys have competed their way into being players that we can put on the field, not just in certain situations, but in any situation. I like the way they're prepared and getting better.
How do you feel about playing these younger players on the road, and especially being in another time zone like Cruces is?
It's only going to help us in the future. We're playing way more players now. We're playing a lot of younger players now. That's going to help us, as we move forward next year, because a lot of guys that maybe we could have not played with the Travis Crawford, a lot of these guys are now going to show back up next year with some of them 12, 8, 6 games under their belt. So we're way ahead of the curve, I think, with playing some younger guys and developing kids now at a little faster pace.
Was the deep ball part of the game plan going into last week? It looked like y'all took some shots early.
Yeah, we want to take a couple shots, and we felt like, our young kids have not made a lot of plays there with the deep balls, but they've got the ability, they got the speed to do it. And you know what? We all got our first job at one point. We probably weren't great our first day on the job. I know I wasn't. And so maybe you, Luke, might have been great your first day at the job. So it was awesome. It was awesome, matter of fact.
Gerald was. Doesn't stop talking about it.
But so, those guys are going to get better each week. And the more opportunities you give them, the better they're going to get. And so they can't get better without opportunities. And so that's a great thing about this game, is seeing these young kids develop and get better each week and start to gain confidence in themselves. And that's pretty exciting.
The freshman safety, their development surprised you?
In some ways it has. We knew Travis Crawford could be a good player. He's very physical, can run. It's just in the secondary, how fast can these young kids pick up everything? That's the learning curve that freshman DBs have to go through. A little easier to line up at receiver and you just tell them to run 10 yards and hang a left. And you can yell that from the sideline. But in the secondary, and you've got motions and change of formations, and you don't have time to signal the play in because they're a no-huddle team and they're having to communicate. If a receiver runs the wrong route, quarterback might not throw it to him, he throw it to somebody else. If a DB takes the wrong steps and gets in the wrong area, strike up the other team's band. So it's a little tougher to play as a freshman in the secondary than probably other positions. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mark.